The act of wearing a watch is rooted in historical importance and a sense of connection. Mechanical watches specifically take us back to a time when their usage was focused on dependence rather than any sort of emotional connection to a bygone era on the wrist. There is something so enticing in wearing a watch that was created for a clear purpose, job, and role to execute. These watches are commonly referred to as tool watches because since birth they've been regarded as, well, tools. This is a concept that Ollech Wajs, or OW, understand well. They've been doing this since the 1950s, and we're pleased to say that this philosophy is still paramount in their newest creations. The P104 here with us today isn't a reissue, rather a reimagination of the watches produced by the brand over the decades. The first aspect of the watch that reflects this is the case. This 39mm wide, 50mm lug-to-lug, and 12.5mm thick, fully brushed case is prominent and substantial on the wrist. It effectively avoids feeling brash, in your face, or clumsy. This robustness is a common theme throughout the watch. This is a watch that really speaks to the tool watch obsessed collector in me. The appeal lies in its ability to provide a lot of information in a visually clean and subtle way. We always talk about case width and lug-to-lug measurements. The case width gives you a good indication on how a watch will wear, but you'll need to combine this information with a lug-to-lug measurement to really get a true idea of what to expect. The P104 remains well sized on my 7¼ inch wrist, with the lug-to-lug distance adding to the prominence of its wrist presence. Sure, you probably won't be slipping this under a dress shirt cuff anytime soon, but it'll be a comfortable and appropriate watch for casual wear. A frictionless bidirectional slide rule bezel frames the whole watch, which marks the start of another theme for the P104, information. Moving from the slide rule bezel, we see the corresponding inner track with a kilometre scale. This scale is actually raised from the dial itself, which gives the watch greater depth and character. The P104 clearly hasn't been created on a whim. It's the combined effort of all of these small design choices that make this watch a hugely compelling offering. The inner scale is the first time we get to see the presence of colour on this piece, as small orange arrows sit on the greyed out scale, providing a warm addition to the darker colours of the watch. The dial itself is excitingly understated in its execution. It's all about those pops of colours, symmetry, and those hands. A warm orange coloured loom fills the 12, 3 and 9 hour markers, as well as the hands. This is such a great choice from OW, as it isn't trying to be vintage loom or faux tina, but the impact of it feels familiar. Next is the symmetry, and this is where those bold, prominent hour markers command this aspect of the watch. The date thankfully sits at the 6 o'clock position to allow the legibility of the piece to really come into its own. The dial is actually asymmetrical, as the model name is at the 3 o'clock position. Not even this can shake the P104's elite level of balance. And those hands. Large, dominating, rectangular minute and hour hands effectively finish the aesthetics of this watch. This hand execution is something that instantly reminds me of original vintage watches, where characterful, unique handsets had such personality. The minute hand has a compelling orange and black checkered design as well. Under a loop, each hand is vertically brushed to an incredibly high standard. Although you won't really need a loop to see this level of finishing, as thankfully the quality of the brushing just jumps out of the dial. The final touch is the hour hand for the seconds, perfectly completing this purposeful, legible dial. The original founders of the brand were driven by only using reliable, reputable movements, something that remains today as the P104 uses the ETA 2824-2 OW3P. This modified ETA has the benefits of the well-respected 2824, but with the addition of an engraved main-plate and an OW machined rotor. Although you may wear this watch casually, the P104 is far more capable and prepared for tougher situations, and it feels ready as well. Everything about this watch is solid and robust. I get a comforting reassurance from the P104. This is a watch that has been carefully designed and constructed with great precision and care. It can easily hold a candle to watches 2 times its price tag. The P104 is a Swiss-made watch, and OW confidently share the information that it is 90% Swiss made. In a world where Swiss made watches only need to have 60% of the parts made in Switzerland, having 90% is something to be celebrated. For such a serious watch on paper, the P104 has a fun, playful side to it, with a big thanks to the use of orange throughout the watch. Even those hands with the large seconds hand and checkered minute hand all have their own part to play. Speaking of the hands actually, these are easily my favourite feature of the watch. From the increased width to the burnt orange colour, incredible brushing and the black and orange design on the minute hand. That imagery of original tool watches from the past raced to my mind with every wrist check. Obsessed is probably an understatement. The P104 is available on an interesting, well-engineered metal bracelet. This take on a beads of rice bracelet look adds real emphasis to the tool watch aspects of this popular strap design, which can sometimes look quite smart. The watch itself is a bit of a strap monster as well. Due to the definitive tool watch design, the style of the watch can be played around with by using certain straps to effectively give this watch a fresh look. First up we have the quick release Sailcloth by Zuludiver. If we're being honest, we're finding it really quite difficult to not include this strap, or at least a version of it in our reviews. Straps using this PVC rubber sailcloth-like material tick so many boxes. They're comfortable, stylish, durable, long-lasting, and simply suit watches like the P104 down to a T. The grey stitching option is the one to go for if you're looking for a subdued combo, or pick up the orange stitching version to really make the watch pop. Next we have the Veryan NATO, and the colour scheme chosen here works perfectly on the P104. Here a subtle grey stripe throughout complements the tone of the watch, with the orange and black pulling through from the watch dial to the watch strap. OW do offer the P104 in a similar NATO to this, so this is a solid option if you like to have a look that is all matching, as well as the metal bracelet. Now we've spoken about how the P104 isn't a reissue of a specific watch from the OW history books, rather that reimagination of their work. This final combination is fantastic at extracting that history and making sure you feel it every time you strap the watch to your wrist. Here the Dedworth Distresso in distressed brown tones the watch down, adds some warmth and pulls out that character. Quick release spring bars and a quality leather choice ensure this is a strap easy to love. As always, here at WatchGecko we like to address some things about watches that don't quite hit the mark for us. Some models have more points than others, and the P104 only really has one. For such a well-engineered, thought-out watch and bracelet, fitting the watch to the wrist and operating the below-par buckle was a little bit disappointing. When folding over the buckle, it seems you have two clickable positions, which means once you have secured the buckle, you then have to push again to fully lock it into place. The result of this is a buckle that is incredibly easy to pop off if you don't secure it correctly. The addition of only two micro adjustments as well doesn't feel hugely in line with both the brand ethos and the watch itself. I'm sure this won't come as news to OW, so let's hope they have something in the works to improve this really small niggle. Capable sports watches are a dime a dozen nowadays, but rarely do you find an example as honest, dependable, considered and just simply cool as the P104. This model and the bracelet will set you back around £1,000, which is just an unbelievable amount of watch for the price tag. The P104 is a discerning choice for collectors who want something that shows they appreciate what great looks like. It's understandable then that soldiers, pilots and divers over the years would write to OW showing their gratitude to their watches. Something makes me think those words of praise will continue to pour in for many years to come. The OW P104 is now available through OW's website for $1,244. We'd like to thank OW for sending the P104 over on loan for this coverage. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.